I think it's important to say that everyone on both sides of this issue is concerned about finding loving and healthful solutions for all children. That's right. Honestly, we at the American College of Pediatricians, and also I have many colleagues on the left, also insist that those solutions be rooted in reality, and transgender ideology is not. Sex is hardwired from before birth, and it cannot change.
As you look at me now, I'm back to being who God wanted me to be as a man, and it doesn't really matter what I got between my legs because no one's going to see it anyway. And I've been reading my Bible every day, and all I could hear was God saying, well, you really need to go back to being who I made you, and your story is great, but just don't do it as a girl, because you're not a girl. And I know that. It just tears me up to think that I did all this, and I was a phony, I was a fraud, but I tried pulling it off, and people called me ma'am and she and her, and you know, I had my long hair. I didn't wear much makeup. As you can see, I got lip liner, I had the eyebrows tattooed, which now I got to live this way, but it's a great testimony, and I just want to try to help someone else before they make the same mistake I did. Everybody I told I was getting a sex change and blah blah blah. They all said, "Oh, if that's what you think is right, then go ahead and do it. You know, if you feel good about it, you know, if that's what you want, go do it." And how can that happen when you're supposed to be accountable for your brothers and sisters and help them out, according to what I read? And they didn't do it. They did not do it. And to this day, they thought I was going to be a disgrace to them. That's why they didn't do anything. They just told me to, there's the door. I said, okay, you know. But I always thought I needed to be important. And that's another reason, all the tattoos and the piercings, I thought, oh, I'm going to be somebody someday. I want to be famous, you know. But now, I do want to be famous, but I want to be famous for God. And I want to take everybody down the path that needs help. Please listen to this, because without the Lord, you'll have nothing. You'll have nothing. You know, He's the vine and we're the branches. And, we can do nothing without Him. But the whole thing is, why most people will not go to any of these things, because it's all about the embarrassment. You are so embarrassed with what you've been doing that you can't tell anybody that. And that's what I kept a secret for all those years. I couldn't tell nobody. I was too embarrassed. But you have to stop. You have to stop and get help, because you're going to destroy your life. You're going to destroy the life of your friends, your spouse, whoever it may be, because this is the worst thing that I think that anybody could do, is get involved in the sex industry or business or whatever. It destroyed me, but praise God, I'm set free now, and I'm happy as can be. I am so happy, it's overjoyed, you know, because my life now is like over the top. I have nothing, but I have everything, if that makes sense. I have Jesus.
Lactation is the devious diva you could ever think of.
I'm like at RuPaul's DragCon right now. I just went and did a panel with Ginger Minch, who's like my favorite drag queen ever. Come on, anyone who comes up to me and says, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan. Oh my God, can I get a picture with you?" No. Are you a lactator? Are you a lactator? I don't care about my fans, I care about my lactators. I'm gonna find out who's lactating today.
Can you talk to me about the look?
This outfit is what I'm calling Ice Queen.
And what inspired it?
Winter. Happy holidays. I love doing drag because you get to express yourself and there's no boundaries, and if you don't think you look fabulous, you do, because your costumes are always fabulous even if your makeup isn't perfect and on point.
Förra somras så kom det liksom jättemånga barn och liksom bara sa till mig, är du kille eller tjej, är du kille eller tjej? Så svarade liksom ingenting. Men så svarade jag att jag var båda.
My personal view is that is child abuse. You should not be doing it because at such a young age, they're only curious about gender. They have no idea. There is no medical test that can prove that anyone is a transgender. It is something that people say verbally and self-identify. That does not make them transgender person. Who think at a young age that they're transgender eventually change their mind and say, no, I really wasn't. And in fact, I just recently wrote an article about this, about a girl who changed to a boy and said, we should understand as children we're always going to be conflicted about our bodies, but that does not make us transgender people. What we need to understand is who we are and not try to change who we are. There's a difference between reality and fantasy. And so we originally, as a transgender child, will live in fantasy, and then at some point they begin to live in reality and their mind changes. Many of the people that I've worked with have been physically abused, sexually abused, or emotionally abused, and as a result of that, they don't want to be the person who was abused, so they become someone different and they adopt the identity of a transgender so that they don't feel the pain that they once felt as the person who suffered that abuse. They don't want to be who they are. Gender itself is biological. Psychologically, you think you can change, but you can't. Your biology remains the same no matter what you look like. You're still, a man cannot become a woman cannot become a man. They think they really change, and that's why it is referred to by some psychologists and psychiatrists as a delusional disorder. It's delusional meaning you delude yourself to thinking that you've changed when you really haven't. It's a mistake to think that you can change genders when you cannot. So when you finally realize that you could never really become a different gender, that you'd been lied to and you'd been manipulated into, they reported that 1 out of 5 people will admit that they have made a mistake, and that's why up to 40% of people who change will attempt suicide out of depression and discouragement. Well, once I began to actually look at the literature and look at the studies and realize that I never changed, then I felt like I was living a masquerade. It was, I wasn't living real. It was just a costume, a cosmetic surgical costume. Well, many of the people won't realize this, that they made a mistake. A lot of the gender ideology is more political than it is medical, because as it stands today, there is absolutely no medical proof that transgenders actually exist as a medical condition. There is no clinical test for people to say, I'm a transgender, and identify a specific time in their life that became so discouraging and so depressing for them that choosing a transgender identity was the way they wanted to escape from that pain that they felt.
That's why we've actually called this child abuse, because by feeding children and families these lies, children are having their normal psychological development interrupted. They're being put on the puberty blockers, which essentially castrates them chemically, followed by surgical mutilation later on. This is child abuse. It's not health care.
So as
now, with the puberty blockers, followed by cross-sex hormones, followed by surgeries, has absolutely no track record whatsoever. The loving solution for children who are ages 3 to 10, they engage in magical thinking. They don't know the difference so easily between fantasy and reality. We need to nurture them through adolescence, through natural puberty. Our job as parents and physicians is to help children embrace their healthy bodies. And when this is done, once they get past puberty into late adolescence, as many as 95% will come to embrace their bodies and identify with their biological sex.
So since this is not just something we're debating as college students, but there are physicians involved who are prescribing drugs, what do we know about the effects of heavy-duty hormones, synthetic hormones given to little kids, like long-term?
Well, we don't have long-term studies, which is a major problem, which is why physicians should not be telling parents that this is settled science and that it is safe. We do know that when puberty blockers are used appropriately in other settings, that we have observed in adults. For example, they can be used to treat prostate cancer and some gynecologic issues in women, that there's evidence that you can impact memory and cognitive ability in a negative way. And as far as the cross-sex hormones, if you have a young child on puberty blockers who goes directly to cross-sex or sex change hormones, they become sterile. You're sterilizing children. They can't possibly, that puberty blockers be given at ages 11 to 12, but I've had reports from colleagues across the country, and you can also find them in various news reports, that children as young as 9 have been put on these puberty blockers. And what it does, it arrests normal development. Puberty is not a disease. You know, you're stopping them. It's not just a matter of sex characteristics. You're arresting brain development.
There's a lot there. Dr. Catella, thanks a lot for that report. I appreciate it.